everyone over here. I hope you're having a splendid day wherever you are in the world. Guys, it's time for the most prestigious Grand Prix on the F1 calendar. It's time for the Monaco Grand Prix. It's round 6, guys. We brought one major aero upgrade to the car with us to Monaco, which was desperately needed, guys. Heading towards the performance shot, guys, I can concur and can prove to you that we are the second best car when it comes to the aero department. But looking to the overall performance shot, guys, it's Racing Point still leading the way, still upgrading that car like crazy. Haas P2, Ferrari P3. We are now in P4 by just a pixel. P5 and P6 it is Red Bull and Williams. P7 it is Renault. P8 are also Mercedes. Sorry, Mercedes are also in that little mix. P8 is Renault. P9 Alfa Romeo. And last but certainly not least, it is Scuderia Toro Rosso. Now, guys, coming off a very hectic Spanish Grand Prix where we had quite good pace, I'm not gonna lie. We're heading in towards this Monaco weekend, like I said, with that aero upgrade that we bought. And as you guys can see, I'm pushing very hard. This next little bottle and thumbnail was just at the very famous Monaco hairpin, probably one of the most beautiful corners in all of Formula 1. And as we come out of the hairpin, we just nip the barrier and we break off our, which is that, the right front end plate of our front wing. But not the end of the world, guys. And guys, the pace is good this weekend. We are the second best car in aero, just behind Racing Point, and I think we can surprise all the other teams this weekend. So without further ado, let's head straight towards the Monaco qualifying year.
We're here at the magical Circuit de Monaco for one of the most challenging qualifying sessions on the Formula 1 calendar. Who can add their name to the illustrious list of Monte Carlo? It always looked low-speed exits.
Managing their throttle application to limit rear slip, they can't always overcome a car that's inherently bad at looking after its...
Guys, I'm so sorry about that very jumpy quali intro. Unfortunately, I've got no control over that because I don't have a capture card. I am literally recording on my PlayStation, and sometimes the PlayStation goes a little bit cuckoo. So I'm really sorry about that. But heading into qualifying, guys, going to our final run in Q1. We go purple middle sector and come across the line to seal P4 for Q1. And as you guys can see, where is my teammate? Oh boy, Devon, what did you do? What did you do? Woohoo! He's in. Okay, good. He is in P15. Good. Ooh, Pierre Gasly is out of qualifying, guys. He is starting from the very last place on the grid. Poor Pierre. You guys see here into Q2. Our first run in Q2, we got a little bit held up by Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault there. But going into the Nobel chicane, I'm a little bit too quick on my turn in. And yeah, I made a little bit of a foofy there. So our first run...
We'll receive you at the end of this lap.
Thank you, Jeff. And oh! What? Hamilton! Oh boy, please don't give me a penalty. Please don't give me a penalty. Ricciardo's out of the session. Hamilton is out of the session. Guys, I thought Ricciardo was going to keep driving and he just went slower to let me pass. And we kind of blocked the road there. Oops. Sorry, Hamilton. We come across the line at the end of Q2 to go P9. We are into Q3 for the first time this season, guys. But our teammate tops qualifying. How? I don't know. But that shows you guys the McLaren has got superb pace here around Monaco, where all you need is a good aerodynamics. And that is exactly what this car has. Coming across the line, guys, as you guys can even see, on a worn set of soft tires, we go P3. By the end of the session, it's P7. And the pace is there.
Standing by.
Thank you, Jeff. And guys, I'm really looking forward to see what this car can do for our final run in quali. As you guys see, we start our final lap here in Monaco. Let's go through the first corner. Let's go through Saint-Devote, heading up the hill towards Casino Square. As you guys see, the car, it's a little struggling, a little bit in a straight line. But here you guys can see, I just throw the car into the corner. I've got the utmost confidence in this McLaren, getting as close to the walls as I dare. Now heading into the famous Monaco hairpin. Like I already said, one of the most beautiful corners on the F1 calendar. This corner within the race on the replay cameras looks absolutely fantastic. Going through this double right hand and now through the famous Monaco tunnel. We plant the throttle. This section and heading up the hill towards the casino is where we lack the most, because that is where you need a little bit of engine power. which we don't have. But through the no belt chicane, you guys can see this time I don't clip the inside. We get through this part, now going into the very, very fast swimming pool section. Get as close to the barriers as you dare. Thread the needle through the final chicane. It's a very fast chicane. Watch out for the walls on either sides of you. Into Rascas for the final time here in qualifying. Through the final corner, we open up the orange. It's a little wide through the final corner, but we get the power down. Lukas Weber takes pole, but we are in P!
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three: Weber, Leclerc and O'Connor. Well, that wraps up qualifying, but don't worry, we'll be back tomorrow as we head into the Grand Prix.
All right, I think we can call that a successful qualifying. We should be in with a good chance in the race.
Oh yeah, we're in a good spot for the race. But guys, I got a little bit of bad news. It's gonna be wet! And I mean heavy wet rain conditions. My luck just sucks when it comes to Monaco. Guys, let's head towards the Monaco Grand Prix and try not to cry.
Motor racing has come a long way since the first Grand Prix of the early 20th century. We have faster cars, bigger circuits, highly trained drivers who've dedicated their lives to racing. But still, we return here. Still, it remains the most desired victory in Formula One. Still, we race the Monaco Grand Prix. We already see the lowest average speeds of the season here at the Circuit de Monaco, and they'll be even lower in the difficult conditions today. 19 corners make up this famous 2-mile track, and with the rain, it'll be even harder than usual to get that critical heat into the tyres. Don't be surprised if we see a safety car at some point during the Grand Prix. Joining us today to oversee all the thrills and spills, it's Anthony Davidson. And great to see you. How are you feeling about the race today, and how are the circuit conditions from what you've seen?
Well, it's looking a bit cold out there, if I'm honest. These tyres have quite a narrow operating window in terms of the temperatures they need to extract the best grip. So with a cold track surface, it's going to be harder to keep those temperatures up, which will lead to lower grip and maybe more mistakes.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Great work from Lukas Weber yesterday sees him start from pole, with Charles Leclerc alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have O'Connor, Perez, Max Verstappen and Sainz, Butler, Magnussen, Giovinazzi and Daniel Kvyat, Bottas, Vettel, Romain Grosjean and Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Norris, George Russell and Pierre Gasly. Hamilton, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, don't try anything silly into one. It's gonna be crazy in there. Just do your best to stay out of trouble.
That is the idea, Jeff. We want to stay out of trouble. Guys, we want to keep this car in one piece. We want to keep the car on track. Obviously, it's getting, the rain will get lighter at the end of the race, so we are going to go onto a set of intermediates. And guys, we just need to push as hard as we can. We are in a very, very good position to take the fight to Ferrari and to Lukas Weber. So guys, please jam with me on the formation lap and make sure you're subscribed. Yeah. prestigious Grand Prix on the F1 calendar. It's time for Monaco in a very wet conditions. Go, go, go as the 5 red lights go out. It is Lukas Weber and Charles Leclerc on the front row. They already blocked me off and now open me up to get pressurized by Sergio Perez. We give Perez the squeeze heading through the first corner. So it is Lukas Weber leading the way from Charles Leclerc in P2 for Ferrari. Ourselves in P3 with the second racing point of Sergio Perez in P4. Guys, I think it's going to be a little bit of a boring first stint, to be quite honest with you guys, because we really just have to feel where the grip levels are. We have to get used to this very wet Monaco. It's really easy to aquaplane in these conditions. You have to be easy on the brakes, easy on your throttle application. There's so much that can happen here. As my teammate actually went for a little bit of a move there on the Alfa Romeo of Antonio Giovinazzi. By the way, GG's to Antonio Giovinazzi and Danny Kvyat, who got their back marker cars into Q3. Well done to those two guys. Obviously, those cars are also very sorted when it comes to the aerodynamics. You guys see heading through the Nobel chicane for the first time this Grand Prix. Lukas Weber is already starting to build a gap. I do not know where this guy is getting his pace from in the wet weather. We know he's fast in the dry, but to do this in the wet, yee, that is very hard. Obviously, the Racing Point is also upgraded heading into this weekend, and they are by far the fastest car on the grid. So trying to match them is going to be a very hard task, especially for myself and Charles Leclerc. It's going to be a little bit easier for Charles, but for me it's going to be a tough one. But hopefully we can stretch these aerodynamic advantages we have to the utmost extent. And as you guys see, heading all the way on to the end of lap 9, yeah, nothing happened till this point, basically, guys. We're going to run through the top 10 quickly, guys. It is still Lukas Weber leading the way with a solid lead now from Charles Leclerc in P2 for Ferrari. P3, it is still myself, who at this stage of the race finally got to grips with the conditions and the car, and at this stage I was feeling confident to start pushing. Sergio Perez P4, Carlos Sainz P5, Max Verstappen P6, Antonio Giovinazzi is P7 with my teammate Devin Butler P8, P9 it is Danny Kvyat with Kevin Magnussen in P10. Then we have Sebastian Vettel P11, Valtteri Bottas P12, P13 it is Daniel Ricciardo, then P14 it is Roman Grosjean, my former teammate, Lando Norris P15, Kimi Raikkonen P16, Lewis Hamilton P17, Pierre Gasly P18, P19 it is the Williams of George Russell, and P20 is rounded out by the second Toro Rosso of Alexander Albon. Now you guys see we head on to lap 11, and finally guys I heard from my engineer that the inters and the wets were having similar pace, and at that stage I was like, my rears are already starting to die. It is just safer to dive into the pit lane, get onto a new set of tires, the inters, because the conditions were quickly starting to change. So I was going to go for a major undercut to try and catch Charles Leclerc and Lukas Weber, because I really felt throughout the weekend that the McLaren had the pace to compete with those guys.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
As you guys see, we come out in P17, right behind Lewis Hamilton and ahead of Pierre Gasly, who are absolutely nowhere in this Monaco Grand Prix. But guys, that is fine. It is the wet weather. It's not too bad to get stuck behind other cars in the wet. But as you guys see, I'm going to go for a very heroic dive on the inside of Lewis Hamilton. We bang wheels. But guys, I just felt the grip was already 20 times better on the green walled intermediate tires. And as you guys see, heading towards the end of that lap, we are already tucked up right underneath the gearbox of Kimi Raikkonen, the man that has been giving me a little bit of trouble throughout the season thus far. But we are right behind him, heading into Sandavort now. We are behind him, we unsettle him into the corner, we make him go a little bit defensive. And now up the hill, I'm going to take the ERS up as high as I dare, as well as the fuel. Heading up the hill towards Casino Square. It's very tight between the two of us. Kimi gives me the squeeze, almost forcing me into the barrier there, as Kimi's not having any of it. But we have the grip advantage as we take the inside for the following corner. And that is us up another position. Very tense moment there between myself and Kimi Raikkonen, but we get the move done around the outside. A beautiful move if you ask me. Guys, towards the end of that lap, finally Sergio Perez and Racing Point decided it is time for the intermediate tires. I do not know why they pitted Perez before Weber, probably due to traffic issues, but it was Perez in first for the Racing Point team. Now let's see if our undercut has worked and if the traffic has hit us a little bit too much. as Perez comes out of the pit lane. You guys can see we watch for that orange flash, and there we go, guys. We are still ahead of Sergio Perez, but he's going to have the inside coming out of the pit lane, but we stick our McLaren still ahead of Sergio Perez, which is excellent news. On to the end of that next lap, guys. Now it's the turn of the second racing point, the leader of the Grand Prix, Lukas Weber, to dive it into the pit lane to strap on a brand spanking new set of intermediate tires. As now we head towards, where are we going? We're heading towards myself, guys. Or not? Yes, we are heading towards ourselves, guys. Actually towards Sergio Perez. We head onto his front wing, guys, and as you guys can see, the spray is terrible here around Monaco in the very wet conditions. It is still heavy rain, but the track is dry enough for inters. As you guys see, heading up this next section, we go up the inside of Roman Grosjean, who dives into the pit lane. Is that my front wing or his? And also Perez, trying to avoid us, ran into the wall himself and broke his front wing. What? Perez, do you need a little bit of an immune boost or something? Did you cough or sneeze going into the corner just to go into the wall or something like that? I don't know, guys, but what I can confirm is that it was actually Roman Grosjean who broke his front wing, not myself. Luckily, I didn't know that he was going to come into the pit lane, and that's probably the reason he went so slow into Raskas. But I just went for the dive up the inside. He didn't leave me the space, so I had to, well, I went for the dive around the outside, switched back to the inside, and I just tried to get past him, and yeah, he slowed down and turned right into me. So apologies to Roman Grosjean, that was not my idea, that was not my intentions. I really just thought we were gonna go straight on and I was gonna get the move done through the final quarter. As you guys see now, very much late on to the race, I have found my pace, I have found the sweet spot in these intermediate conditions, and I am confirmed the fastest car on track. I've got the fastest lap of the race thus far, and as you guys can see, I'm trying to pressure Charles Leclerc into a mistake, because if anybody knows this, it's me. It is not easy to overtake here around Monaco, and now you add wet conditions, it is even harder. So you guys see heading through the swimming pool section, we are now right on top of Charles Leclerc. Head to Raskas, it's around the outside, don't squeeze me. I run over the front end plate of Sergio Perez's front wing. Luckily no puncture, but that is us up into P2 of the Monaco Grand Prix. And it is now time to chase after this man, Lukas Weber. As guys, we head on to, this is I think the end of lap 29, the start of lap 30. Lukas Weber is still leading the way, but as you guys are going to see now, we are catching him at a significant pace, between half a second and a full second a lap. Here we are in P2. You guys can see the gap is already significantly smaller than it was. P3, it is Charles Leclerc still, and as you guys can see, I'm running away from him like it's child's play. Charles Leclerc P3. Look how far behind Sergio Perez and the rest of the grid are, because nobody seems to be able to get past Sergio Perez with that wounded car. So they are just all being held up. Literally the rest of the field is being held up by Sergio Perez. So the top three we are all in a league of our own, but I am the fastest confirmed man on track, and I am pushing as hard as I dare to get my car on the back of Lukas Weber, guys. I don't care about my tires. I don't care that they're older. Guys, you guys are going to see now, as we come through the final corner to end of lap 32 and start lap 33, we go purple again and set a new fastest lap. Oh, I thought Jeff was going to talk. Sorry. Okay, here we go.
Weber's just ahead. Push for the position. They're on old inters. Their tyres are 18 laps old. The time last lap was a 1 minute 22.7. You're gaining by 8 tenths. 8 tenths.
There we go. Guys, we come to the end of lap 33, and once again, we go purple.
That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up.
That is the idea, Jeff. That is the idea. Guys, heading towards lap 36, we did it better our time, but we were literally within 1/10 of our fastest lap every single lap. You guys see heading towards the end of lap 36, it's a little bit slippy and slidey coming out of the final corner, but we crossed the line, and as you guys can see, they're only 2.5 tenths slower than my fastest lap. And my... Oh, thank you, Jeff. And we were still pushing very hard because I wanted to catch this man. But guys, as we start the final lap of the Grand Prix, lap 39 has started. You guys can see I'm so close to Lukas Weber. I literally needed just 5 more laps. Then I would have been able to start pressurizing Lukas Weber. But we just didn't have enough time. And guys, I was stuck behind Charles Leclerc probably for, I'm not even going to lie, probably about 8 to 10 laps. if I was able to get past Charles Leclerc quicker, I could have put myself in a position where I could have catched Weber. But Monaco being Monaco, Monaco has stuck it to me again. And once again, the race I probably want to win the most, thanks to the prestige of this race, is gonna go. It's gonna be stolen from underneath my nose. But in any case, guys, you guys can see how far behind the rest of the grid is, thanks to Sergio Perez just being an immovable object. We go through the grid, as you guys can see. There is Lukas Weber. He is basically within the same sector, almost lapping the guys ahead. But guys, Lukas Weber has been once again in a class of his own here around Monaco. And he is going through the final sector, going into Rascasse for the final time. I don't like saying this. I'm getting tired to see my Formula 2 teammate win. But Lukas Weber rounds the final corner and he is going to win the Monaco Grand Prix. But guys, are the tides starting to turn for us?
Brilliant job, mate. That's a fantastic podium. Super driving, really strong pace. Very happy.
That was brilliant stuff from Racing Point today. What a superb victory. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, keeping their tyre temperatures up in the tricky wet conditions was really important. There's not much grip out there at the best of times, and it's 10 times worse if you're out there on cold tyres. So the way they kept the rubber in its proper operating window was a huge advantage today.
The Racing Point team will be very happy with today's performance and the final result. Another display of excellent driving and excellent teamwork, and a well-deserved first-place finish. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. It's a good result for Lukas Weber, who extends his advantage at the top of the championship. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Sebastian Vettel would definitely be my first choice. He showed up a lot of the drivers out on the track today and didn't show any signs of slowing down.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Racing Point continue to run away with it out in front. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Guys, to add to Jeff's excitement at the end of the race as we crossed the line, guys, fantastic pace. Like I asked as we've crossed the finish line, is this the turning of the tides for McLaren? You guys heard what I said at the beginning of the season. I was not going to go for the World Championship. The car is just too slow. But this, can this be the pace and the momentum that we have needed to start our catch-up pursuit on to Lukas Weber and Racing Point? That is my question. I've got a good teammate in the form of Devin Butler. Can we stick it to Racing Point? That is the big question.
Great work this weekend. It was fantastic to see you up on that podium.
I'm not gonna lie, Emma, it felt fantastic. Guys, first podium for us at McLaren. And guys, the plan for just sticking it out for the season has gone out the window. We are now starting to fight for the World Championship. I have just made that decision. But guys, that has been the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for sticking to the end. Please drop a like down below if you haven't done it yet so far. It's only going to take you 2 seconds. I highly appreciate that. Also, follow me on all my social media platforms, especially Twitter and Instagram. Share this video, tag me on one of those 2 platforms, and I will give you a shout out in a future video. That is awesome. You can't deny that. And finally, guys, please hit the subscribe down below. Don't forget to ding the bell to never miss a future episode or a stream, and I'll see y'all next time when we head to Canada. Cheers!